What is going on, guys? NFL announcers usually try to keep it professional. They try to provide more real analysis than criticism. Their job, after all, isn't to provide comedy and jokes. These guys have to provide play-by-play and breakdowns of the action for our entertainment. But sometimes announcers can't help but poke a little fun at the player. And sometimes they really go off when a player does something really stupid. Sometimes they may go a little overboard with their criticisms. But in most cases, their attacks are warranted because the players in question did something they probably deserve to have been made fun of for. We'll let you judge whether or not these criticisms were justified as we take a look at 15 times an NFL announcer ruthlessly made fun of a player. Number 15, Cris Collinsworth hates Colts fake punt fail. During a 2015 home game against the New England Patriots, the Colts set a new standard for the dumbest trick play call in NFL history. Most of you don't need a reminder, but here's another look back at what transpired.
This snap, and actually Colt Anderson is behind him.
Well, the usually easygoing and laid-back Cris Collinsworth wasn't able to bottle up his thoughts here. The man ripped Colts players big time, and rightfully so.
You got a guy on either side of him. What are you doing here? What was the plan?
I don't know.
On a side note, we highly advise teams to never run a stupid play like that against Bill Belichick. It usually doesn't end well. Number 14, Booger's scouting report on Kelvin Benjamin. Benjamin recorded a 1,000-yard season in his 2014 rookie year for the Carolina Panthers. However, he struggled with the Buffalo Bills following a trade there in 2016, and was never able to regain that magical form from 2014. During a 2018 Monday night game against the New England Patriots, Benjamin was called out by new ESPN analyst Booger Mcfarland. The latter had a pretty hilarious scouting take on Benjamin, to say the least.
When you look at Kelvin Benjamin, guys, he's 6'5", he's 245 pounds. He's probably a Popeye's biscuit away from being a tight end, and he has trouble getting separation.
When this guy is making fun of your weight issues, you know you've got a problem. Number 13, Tony Romo isn't impressed with Nick Folk. Tony Romo and Nick Folk spent 3 seasons together with the Dallas Cowboys from 07 to 09. America's team won the NFC East Division twice over that frame, and Folk even notched a Pro Bowl selection in his rookie year. 10 years later, a retired Romo was enjoying his first season in the CBS broadcast booth with Jim Nantz. They called a Week 5 Thursday Night Football showdown between the Patriots and Buccaneers. Folk had missed 2 field goals earlier in the game. With 5.5 minutes left, he was tasked with hitting an easy 31-yarder that would have cut New England's lead down to 1 possession. But Folk, of course, missed it. The Buccaneers faithful booed him loudly, and Romo couldn't hold his thoughts back on Folk's awful night.
And they don't.
Oh my goodness.
Can't continue like this for Tampa Bay. 2 years in a row, over and over again.
Tampa Bay wound up losing a close game 19-14. So Folks' 3 missed field goals really made quite the difference. Number 12, Troy Aikman. This isn't college football. Give former Dallas Cowboys quarterback and franchise icon Troy Aikman credit. He's usually anything but a homer whenever he and Joe Buck are assigned to Cowboys games. If anything, Aikman is never shy about calling out his old team when necessary. Take the time where he criticized the Dallas defense for a poor effort that led to a Brandon Myers touchdown.
Myers makes the catch, and this is just inexcusable. He goes to the ground, and this isn't college football, boys.
Fair point, Troy, but that type of effort would be deemed inexcusable in college as well, and in high school football, and in Pop Warner, and even in Madden. Number 11, John Gruden rips Albert Haynesworth. The Redskins signed Pro Bowl defensive tackle Albert Haynesworth to a $100 million contract over 7 years in 2009. Spoiler alert, it turned out to be one of the absolute worst signings in the history of North American sports. Haynesworth's tenure in DC was a mess from the get-go. He showed up out of shape and clashed with coaches, forcing the team to eventually suspend him. You can basically summarize his tenure in the nation's capital with his effortless play during a Monday night game against the Eagles in 2010.
You got to get up off the ground and stay alive and chase this guy. But you're down on the ground, you have to get up, and you got to continue to chase Michael Vick.
Number 10, Jim Nantz and Phil Simms on Cam Newton. Cam Newton won the 2015 NFL MVP award after leading the Carolina Panthers to a 15-1 record and a Super Bowl 50 appearance. But Super Cam had been dominated by the Denver Broncos defense throughout the first 3 quarters of the big game. The game was on the line here with only 4 minutes to go. Carolina was down 6 facing a key 3rd and down situation. Von Miller got to Newton and forced a fumble. And for some reason, Cam decided not to try and pounce on the loose football. I mean, it was only the Super Bowl on the line, so, you know. And so Jim Nantz and Phil Simms rightfully called out Newton for not even trying in the biggest moment of his career.
Cam Newton decides not to dive in there and
he backed away from it.
I guess he made a decision it wasn't worth to go in there and get it.
Try a little harder next time, Cam, especially if it's for a Super Bowl. Number 9, Greg Gumbel on Marcus Cooper's showboating gaffe. We've seen it happen far too many times in the NFL now. A player thinks he's crossed the goal line for an easy touchdown, so he showboats by slowing down or throwing the ball behind him to celebrate the touchdown. But of course, the player doesn't realize that he didn't cross the goal line, so he cost his team an easy 6 points. Leon Lett of the Dallas Cowboys made it famous. Then DeSean Jackson did it. Then Marcus Cooper of the Chicago Bears did it. He was returning a blocked field goal against the Pittsburgh Steelers during a 2017 game at Soldier Field. Cooper and the Bears were about to put 6 crucial points on the board, but then, inexplicably, Cooper slowed down before the end zone, and the Steelers were able to knock the ball loose to prevent a Chicago touchdown. Needless to say, CBS play-by-play man Greg Gumbel was the least bit pleased with Cooper's costly showboating moment. He went all out in ripping Cooper for his selfish and terrible decision.
There is a showboat move that just has no reasonable explanation to it. Trent, that's just a dumb play. It's a dumb thing to do.
Luckily for Cooper, the Bears wound up winning 23-17 in overtime. But that doesn't mean Cooper will be immune from highlight reel bloopers for the rest of his life. Number 8, Mike Tirico on DeSean Jackson celebration fail. You know how we just talked about Greg Gumbel making fun of Marcus Cooper's showboating fail? And how DeSean Jackson had also made that type of showboating blunder famous? Well, here we are. Jackson committed the costly mistake during a Week 2 2008 showdown against the Dallas Cowboys. And this ESPN Monday Night Football commentator had an epic one-liner for Jackson's silly mistake.
The evidence would lead me to believe that he did not break the plane before getting rid of the ball, and who knows what's going on inside that helmet.
That's a really good question, Mike. Number 7, Rodney Harrison calls out Tom Brady. The two-time Pro Bowl safety played with Brady and the Patriots from 2003 to 08. Harrison notched 2 Super Bowl championships in New England, and he was inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame in 2019. That said, Harrison wasn't happy when Brady was able to sell a minor hit from Terrell Suggs. That led to a roughing the passer penalty in a 2009 game against the Baltimore Ravens. Ray Lewis went off in the NFL for flagging Suggs, and Harrison, now an analyst at NBC, didn't hold back his disgust with Brady's sell job.
Horrible call. You can't make this call. And Tom Brady, if you're listening, take off the skirt and put on some slacks. Toughen up.
Well, tell us how you really feel, Rodney. Number 6, Joe Buck's mockery of Johnny Manziel. His tenure in Cleveland was downright a disaster, and he was out of the NFL less than 2 years after turning professional. Manziel couldn't keep it clean off the field. He broke team curfew and simply chose partying over football. All in all, his NFL career was a complete waste. It's truly disappointing. In a 2015 road game against the Seattle Seahawks, Manziel was mocked by Joe Buck during the broadcast. Love or hate Mr. Buck, you can't deny that this was downright hilarious.
Hi, my name is Johnny Manziel. You might know me as Johnny Football. I went 10 for 18, threw for 80 yards, had a quarterback rating of 27.3.
Buck deserved an Oscar nomination for that piece of commentary. Number 5, Jim Nantz trolls Jamaal Charles. The Denver Broncos visited the Kansas City Chiefs in a Thursday night football game in Week 2 of the 2015 season. The Broncos had just tied the game up, and it looked like these two AFC West foes were headed to overtime. The Chiefs made a curious decision to hand the ball off to Pro Bowl running back Jamaal Charles, rather than simply take a knee and go for overtime. Unfortunately for the Chiefs, Charles made a costly mistake as he fumbled the football. Broncos cornerback Bradley Roby scooped up the loose ball and returned it for a game-winning touchdown in the waning seconds. All of Arrowhead was stunned in silence as the Chiefs went from a likely win to probable overtime to a crushing loss. As you can imagine, Charles was quite unhappy about the shocking turn of events. He slammed his helmet in disgust on the sidelines. While Phil Simms seemed to sympathize with Charles, play-by-play man Jim Nantz couldn't help but throw a savage shot at the running back.
Yeah, it's tough. At least he held onto the helmet.
Worse yet, the Chiefs only lost the division and top seed in the AFC to the Broncos by 1 game, and Denver went on to win Super Bowl 50. If Charles didn't fumble, and if the Chiefs won the game, who knows? Maybe they would have been the ones playing in the Super Bowl. Number 4, Steve Berline calls Lendell White a USC thug. Lendell White was a stud running back for USC, and the 2005 All-American was drafted in the 2nd round by the Tennessee Titans in 2006. During a game against the Bengals, White drew a flag on a late hit out of bounds. However, White lost his cool and need a Bengals player after the play.
Becomes 4th down, so they gotta.
Steve didn't care for White's dirty retaliatory play there. And during the broadcast following a commercial break, Steve was caught saying, "USC thugs, man," in reference to White's cheap shot. It appeared as though Steve wasn't aware that they had just returned from commercial break.
USC thugs, man.
Steve, maybe keep your opinions to yourself, or just pay attention to if you're on commercial or not. Who knows? Number 3, Todd Pinkston. Try harder. Todd Pinkston was a wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles from 2000 to 05. Though he played on Andy Reid's NFC juggernaut that reached Super Bowl 39, Pinkston is best remembered for a poor effort on a play that led to a harsh criticism from Joe Theismann.
He now sees the safety coming from the left. That ball's in the air. He does not want to get hit. This is a great way to lose your job as a receiver.
I mean, Joe's got a point. There probably isn't an NFL commentator out there who wouldn't have criticized Pinkston for his alligator arms. Or alligator body, as Theismann put it. Number 2, Paul Allen flips out on Brett Favre. The Minnesota Vikings have gone through more heartbreaking losses than any other NFL team. This team has never won a Super Bowl, even though there have been several times where it felt like their year. 1998 felt like their time, until Gary Anderson's costly missed field goal in the NFC title game led to them losing in overtime. 2017 felt like destiny was on the Vikings' side after the Minneapolis Miracle, but then they were blown out by the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game. While 2009 also felt like it could have been the year for the Vikings. They had acquired former Green Bay Packers star quarterback and MVP Brett Favre. He led Minnesota to a 12-4 record, and Favre guided them to an NFC Championship showdown against the New Orleans Saints. Favre and Drew Brees went toe-to-toe in a shootout for the ages, and the Vikings were in field goal range with 19 seconds left. But that's when Favre rolled out to the right and threw a costly interception to Tracy Porter, thus foiling a chance for Minnie to kick the game-winning field goal. Vikings announcer Paul Allen expressed shock in Favre's interception.
Now he fires over the middle, intercepted. I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
Then he went off on the future Hall of Famer Big Time Rush.
But why do you even ponder passing? I mean, you can take a knee and try a 56-yard field goal. This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
The Saints would go on to win in overtime, and Favre's Vikings blew a huge chance to reach the Super Bowl. You just feel sorry for the longtime Vikings radio play-by-play guy. Can Allen just get to see his team win one Lombardi trophy? Just one. Number 1, Joe Buck goes off on Randy Moss. A classic, as we all know, Hall of Fame wide receiver Randy Moss was one of the NFL's most polarizing players during his illustrious career. Known for his often obnoxious attitude, coupled with his outstanding play on the field, Moss was simply a player you either loved or hated. There was no such thing as in between with this guy. Moss caught a touchdown in the Vikings 2004 NFC wildcard game against the Green Bay Packers, and he celebrated by mooning the fans at Lambeau Field. As many of you know by now, this made Fox announcer Joe Buck incredibly disgusted.
Really being able to run as he shoots the moon.
That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
Buck may not have been aware of this, but it's actually a Packers fan tradition to moon the opposing team's bus at Lambeau Field. Moss was merely mocking the Cheeseheads back. Love or hate Moss celebration all you want. The only thing that matters here is that Buck thought it was absolutely disgusting. And that, folks, is the most ruthless instance of an NFL announcer making fun of a player, at least in my book. What other instances of NFL announcers making fun of players should we have included on our list? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. TikTok, baby, at TikTok all the time. And you should go check it out, because if you like them, then you should follow me. Also, TPS and myself are everywhere else on social media, so go find us. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click right down there. Make sure to subscribe to TPS. We post videos every single day. Every day's a new video. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
My knee.